Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Fitpro Social with me and Dave. We are joined by a very, very special guest this week, Matt Elms from a company called Powerlete. It's going to be a little bit different to our usual episodes. We want to try and bring new guests in, as we've mentioned over the past few episodes, and talk about all aspects and all areas of the fitness industry. And this one is something that myself and Dave haven't really talked about too much on this podcast, and I think it'd be great to bring Matt in and chat a bit about it. But first, I think we should just jump in. Let Matt introduce himself and tell us a bit about your story, where you're from, and how you got here.
Yes, of course. Hi guys, nice to meet you. So we are Powerlete. We weren't originally Powerlete, but I'm going to go into that in a bit more detail shortly. But we are a fitness brand that pride ourselves on the quality of our fits, as well as the sustainability as well. We know the world that we live in is, we've only got one Earth, and we've got to look after that as well. So we take a lot of pride in that. I run the brand alongside my wife, Erica, and also my best mate, John Barnard, and my sister. So we're very much a family and friends orientated brand, which has, quite frankly, we've come out of nowhere. You know, we started in lockdown. Originally as a record label called Defined Music, which is it's quite a story, to be honest. I don't know how much you guys want to hear about that, but
I want to hear about that. That sounds really interesting.
So yeah,
it sounds like a right journey.
I'll be honest, I was bored in lockdown of playing Call of Duty. I mean, I never thought I'd see the day. I played too much Call of Duty, and I've been a DJ for the last 10 years or so, and I thought, right, let's do this. I've got time on my hands. Let's start a record label. So we published on Spotify, and then iTunes, Beatport, etc. And we built up quite a following. We released about 30 songs on the label in total, and amassed about 6 million streams over the period of about a year or so. So it went pretty well. But I mean, my heart's always in music, but I always wanted to have my own gym brand, you know. So we had customers reaching out, like fans of the label reaching out saying, look, have you got any merchandise that we can wear to support the label? And I was like, well, I don't, but of course I'm not going to say that. I said, yes, of course, we got some coming in 2 weeks. And that's just what I'm like. So
we like putting a bit of pressure on.
I know, no pressure. So we went and got like 50 hoodies made, and lo and behold, 2 weeks went past, they'd all gone. I was like, right, we're onto something here. Like we're onto something. So we changed the name of the company to Defined Apparel, which we liked. It was a good name at the time. I don't even know how we came up with the name Defined, if I'm honest. I can't remember. But we launched as Defined Apparel, and we're going back 2020, December 2020. And then we spent a lot of time developing products. We developed, and then manufactured. And we filed our trademark for the word defined in May 2021. And it was all going through. Our stock arrived. A week later, we got an opposition notice for our trademark, and I was like, "Oh, here we go. This is not good." Meanwhile, me and Erica, we put our sort of life savings into the stock that we bought, because I'm sure you're aware, with clothing brands or any brand that has a physical product, you have to front quite a lot of inventory, and especially when it's multiple sizes of certain clothing, different sizes, you know. So that was pretty devastating. But anyway, we pressed forward while that was all going on, and we had lots of legal ramblings going back and forth, and rinsing of us any money that we actually made at all. So this went on for quite a long time. We tried to, the opposition, I'm not going to give any details on who they are, but they do serious turnover. So a legal battle for them is, they got their own in-house legal departments. You know, it was, at one point we thought we were going to win, the next time we didn't think we would, but we filed to cancel their trademarks anyway. And the trademarks, sadly, we lost. They provided some kind of evidence, which we still never actually saw any physical products with the word defined on, and we still don't think they used it. But we thought, right, enough's enough. We've we could keep fighting this and flush another 20,000-30,000 pounds down the drain, or we can rebrand. So I don't know how we came up with the name. We spent months and months. And the funny thing is, we actually came up with the final name about 11:30 at night after 3 months of deliberating, lying in bed. And we was like, what about power and athlete? And like, just boom, merge it together. And yeah, so we like that. So we were using some lawyers at the time in the UK that were very expensive and, if I'm honest, not particularly good. So we went to, I went on a search to try and find like, oh, who should we use? And we found a company called DigIP in Sweden, and they're actually like leading the technology for digitally filing trademarks, and they were able to do brand name searches completely for free of charge, whereas the other people I've spoken to, they'd want anything like £4,000 or £5,000 plus VAT to do so. So straight away, they can take my money. They're going above and beyond. So we weren't making the same mistake twice, and we went ahead and before we did anything, we waited for Powerlete to go through in the UK, which he did. And then once that went through, we then filed all the other territories, and as well as our little P logo as well. So we're currently protected worldwide for Powerlete in almost every territory that we would need to sell in. So that's sort of like the run up to how Powerlete was founded. And then we officially rebranded the site in September last year. We had a period of it being down for 2 months while we waited for our new stock to arrive. And the rest since then has been a bit of a blur. It's been a bit of a blur. But fortunately, so far the whole business is completely self-funded. And I have another business which is like marketing and Shopify experts. So I had a revenue coming in from there that I was able to fund the stock for Powerlete, to prevent us actually having to go to the bank or some kind of lender to borrow more money, because I wanted to try and do that as much as possible, being it's quite high risk. You never know how it's going to go. And anyway, we did our first shoot on, I think it was the 11th of December last year, and we launched on, no, it was the 17th of December we did it, and we launched 2 days after. So you can imagine we have 2 very, very long days editing. We shot about 2,500 photos, and we had to edit all of these, get the site prepared, rebrand the site. It was a lot of stuff that, looking back at it now, we could have done way in advance, but we didn't. It was, I don't know if that's but anyway, John is one of my closest friends, and we were on Zoom calls till 4 a.m, adding products to site, and every now and then just giving each other a nudge, like, are you still awake there? Are you still up? And the site launched, and I'd love to say it was a screaming success at the start, but quite frankly, that would be a lie, because it wasn't. Whilst, I mean, I don't know if have you guys ever come across brands that have done a launch expecting the traffic to just fly in with conversions, and it doesn't always work like that. And no, it didn't for us. I mean, we had some sales from our defined fans and people that have been waiting for our signature products that we'd spent 10 months developing for Powerlete. But other than that, it was quite slow. It was quite slow. And even though it was Christmas, we found a lot of people had already done their shopping. And we're a new brand. You know, we only had about 6,000 follows on Instagram. We weren't hugely established. We didn't have loads and loads of content because we only received the products like 3 or 4 days before we did our photo shoot. So it was quite rushed to get it all going. And we fired up our first Google PMax campaign. And do you guys run those? Have you tried running PMax campaigns?
I haven't personally, but
no. Well, they take quite a while to get started. They take quite a while to actually, for the machine learning to start pushing it in front of the right people. And we were, at the time, I remember we was flushing about £200 down the drain every day for pretty much no return. And at the time we weren't running Facebook ads, didn't have the budget to do so. And then we came around to like mid-January, and the PMX started to do something. I mean, it's been going for a month now, and we got our strategy fairly nailed on how we was going to target, and it started delivering. And we were getting sort of conversions from that. And then we thought, right, we got a bit more money now. Let's start throwing Facebook ads into the mix. And then we found combination of the two, it absolutely flew. Combining the two, and we got a strategy. We've got about 1,300 brand ambassadors worldwide for the brand, which is great because they support us, they send us user generated content, and they're real advocates for Powerlete as a brand and the community. We've built a very close-knit community of people, and I'm proud to say that a lot of the people that we work with have become friends of mine and Erica's over the journey so far. And anyway, but in March things really ramped up a notch. We went from in February, I think we did about 80 orders. In March we did 300, April about 500, and it's been growing steadily ever since. This is all from just the first drop in December so far. So we had 4 colors of shorts, 4 colors of leggings, 3 colors of bra, and then we had another 3 colors in April, I think it was. So we didn't have a lot, is what I'm getting at. It really wasn't a huge amount of stock. And then we did our first launch, like second launch, sorry, in June, where we obviously already had quite a large number of customers from the previous months before. And I've never got so excited about watching my Google Analytics at 5 p.m. when we launched. I've never seen the site go so wild, and we did pretty well on that launch. It was a success. We added 4 more colors of leggings and shorts, so we totaled 8 colors in total. And these leggings and shorts that we've got, we spent a long time developing them. Like, they're our signature product. They're made from recycled yarn, mostly recycled fishing nets. They're squat proof, they don't fall down, they're compressive around the waist. We double thickness the scrunch on the bum, but it's not too much, but it's not like too little, you know. We got it just perfect. And what we found is customers would come and buy 1 pair just to try out the quality because we're a new brand, and then the next week or after it's arrived, they'll come back and buy 2 more, and then they might buy a bra as well. So over time we've seen that, like, our average order value increase like quite significantly, and also the return customer rate is pretty high at about 45%. So it's been going well. So we did another launch. We done 2 in July, actually. Again, 2 more colors of leggings and shorts, so we've got 10 colors now in July, and also some new t-shirt designs. And that launch completely trumped the one in June. We did almost double the numbers of the June launch. And we've actually got another exciting launch this week.
Hey.
So
good timing.
Yeah, good timing. I know. We've got the Athlete Club launch coming this Wednesday. I don't know when this is going to be broadcast. So we're really looking forward to this coming out. We're expecting it to do pretty well. But there was something that's even more exciting than the launch that we had in July so far. We previously were fulfilling all of the orders ourselves. So 2 minutes from our house, we've got a big yellow self-storage, and we had like 2 huge units that were packed out with stock. And every single day, either my wife, me, or my sister, we'd pack the day's orders, take them home. DPD would turn up, take them, off they go. Now we actually moved to a fulfillment center in Coventry, which is really exciting for us, because it means we can actually focus our time and efforts on marketing and developing even better products, and actually growing the business and the community much further. Because there's one thing that for me and my wife that makes it feel so like worthwhile. We get so many messages on Instagram just saying, look, I love the brand, the products are amazing, like, you've given me so much confidence, you've really helped me out of a rut, or whatever it is. I mean, no comments too silly, but I mean, it does feel amazing to know that we're making an impact on people's lives, you know, all whilst being sustainable as well. So we moved to this fulfillment center, and now the orders, it's state of the art. So there's a lot of technology in there. So not only does it remove the human error of picking and packing orders, as in it will not generate a shipping label, it will not dispatch it, it will not do a packing sheet until every single item scans. So it removes that human error of missing an item or shipping the wrong item to someone. So that for us is quite a big thing. And not to mention, obviously, it frees up about 3 hours of our day every day now. But yeah, that's a very brief. I know I've been talking for about feels about half an hour now. But
wow, but it's not too bad. I mean, it's good. There's lots to unpack in there. You've probably seen me and Dave making loads of notes as we go through. Yeah. I think I'm going to take it right back to that, some of the beginning parts of that story, that kind of whole thing started out. And one of the things I find really interesting about that story is the shift between the music side of it and how there's an interest in those people who were following you or, you know, downloading your songs and things like that. How's the interest in apparel, and you went with it and went for that approach? I mean, why was it the fitness side of it? Why was it fitness and sports clothing that you wanted to kind of go into as opposed to anything else?
So I've been an avid gym goer and trainer for 12 years, something like that, and I love going to the gym. For me, that's my therapy. It helps me sleep at night. If I'm stressed, what I do, I go to the gym. And it's the same for my wife as well. So it was something. It's funny, before we actually started the record label, we was like, look, we really want to do a gym brand, but we couldn't think of a name. And I think finding a name is probably the hardest part of starting a business or a brand. To find something that's available, let alone available in all the territories that you need. So, and I didn't know about trademarking when we started. I had no idea. I literally looked on Company's House and I Googled the name. Oh, it's available. Let's go with it. And looking back, it's a learning curve, but I wouldn't do it again, but make that mistake again. I think with any brand you've got to have a story behind it, and you've got to have a certain level of passion. I mean, I'm incredibly passionate about Powerlete. I was incredibly passionate about Defined as well. And if you're not, I just think any business isn't truly going to succeed, because there's days where it's really, really difficult. You might literally have no sales and you spent £100 on ads or 200, whatever it is, you know, or you've arranged a photo shoot and the stock isn't going to arrive, so you've got to cancel the shoot, rearrange it all. It's an absolute headache. You know, there's a lot of things that can go wrong in business, and that's just two examples. I'm telling you, there's lots.
I just jump in there quickly, Matt. So I don't know if you followed any of these episodes before, but we also like to kind of like agree and disagree with a certain number of things. And one thing I've written down here is, how big is a name? So like you were saying in your story, it took you, what do you say, 3 to 4 months to come up with that new name, which could have been 3 months of not progressing. Do you think in the type of business that you're running, the name is one of the most important parts? Yes. Or could you have got away with just any old name and made the branding fit that name? Hey, it's going to pause it there for literally 2 seconds. If you're loving this week's episode, please let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. The more people we can get subscribing, the bigger guests we can get, and the more people we can help with the content being shared. Anyway, let's dive back into today's episode.
So I think it's integral to the brand. I think it's so important. People have to like it. So, and you need to ask people that aren't your friends and family as well, because if you ask your mate, oh, what do you think of this name? They're all going to say, oh, it's amazing. Yeah, go for it. You need to ask people that you don't know, or they don't mean anything to you, or you don't have that relationship. So, and it needs to be relatable to the audience you're going for. So the guys, ultimately, they want to feel powerful and strong, and like an athlete. And it's the same for women. Girls these days, it's not so much about being skinny. It's about being strong and independent woman, you know, and being athletic. So we felt that it was really appropriate for our target demographic that we're going for. We're primarily targeting 18 to 35. And that is definitely something that we noticed a trend in across that audience.
And then just go back to that first that first part that Ash said, then you were saying that you had the music record label and it was going okay, but you just had this itch to do the clothing side. And like Fitpro's out there, they may have been pushed in or cornered in or squeezed into working with a certain demographic, but they just have this urge, this itch to want to train with others, but they can't move because financially it's not going to work to start off with, or they're stuck with all these. Like, how did you kind of like drum up that kind of courage to say, no, we are going to stop the music stuff, it's going okay, but all my focus really wants to be on this clothing stuff?
So again, I'll be completely transparent with you guys. Like, Spotify music streaming doesn't pay a huge amount of royalties. So what I was finding was we would have releases that would do like hundreds of thousands of plays, but then depending on the location, depends on the royalty amount as well. So then we get the royalties come in at the end of the month, or it's like, I think it was 30 days after, or 60 days. It's quite a long time. It would come in and I'll be like, what? I've done all that work, all those hours, all that effort, all the artwork, all of the audio mastering, etc., etc. And then you got to obviously split it with the artist as well. I'm doing all of that for like pretty much peanuts. And then I can sell a hoodie. If I sell 10 hoodies, I've made the same money from doing that. And to sell 10 hoodies is a lot easier, and it's a lot much better use of my time.
Yeah.
And I always will have a passion behind music. I still do DJ and stuff, and I was part of a radio station very heavily. I was a DJ and presenter on there for 6 years, so I'll always have that passion and buzz for music. But at the end of the day, I saw that to actually make it a full-time job, you're going to be doing it forever, and still probably not living a very good life. Maybe you would, I don't know. But if you look at the good, big, successful labels, they've got like tens and tens of thousands of pounds to spend on advertising. They've also got huge financial backing. They got capital investment coming in. You know, as an independent label, it's very, very hard to make it. And that was definitely part of my decision when making that pivot.
It's an interesting thing you mentioned there about your passion for music and then making that pivot into clothing. Do you think, because a lot of people wouldn't feel like work and that side of it, what's your thoughts on that idea? Because it seems that, you know, you went to go and follow your passion to start off with, realized it wasn't really giving you either the time freedom or money freedom that you wanted to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve, and you made that shift. So what would you say to people that say about this, just follow your passion when it comes to choosing a business?
I think it's really important, but at the same time, you've got to be like realistic about it. If you've got a mortgage and a wife, kids, car, whatever you've got, and you're not going to make enough from doing one thing, you need to diversify. So I'm very fortunate to have multiple income streams from my other business. So it allows me to have a bit more financial freedom. But I think it's very important to follow your passion. Like for me, when we often do photo shoots and video shoots at the weekend, to me, going to the gym with a camera and a load of friends and filming some content, that's not work. I love it. That I buzz off it, my wife buzzes off of it, and that's not work. We enjoy it, but it's very important to be happy in what you do. But there is definitely a fine line of what you actually need to achieve to give you that financial freedom and allow you to achieve your goals, or whether that be time or finances, and actually doing a job, you know.
I'd say one thing I would like to touch on a little bit. You mentioned there about your wife. Again, obviously you mentioned your wife quite a few times through this, and throughout like the story you told at the start, your story, you talked about reinvesting a lot. You talked about putting your life savings into things, you know, taking money from your other businesses and investing that into this side of it, and obviously doing that with your wife and your family as well. What was that experience like for you in terms of saying, okay, everything, you know, your wife's income, your income, everything you do is now being reinvested into this business? Like, what was that experience like? So, you had that feel?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't scary, because it's a high risk. You know, it's high risk. I mean, I'm quite I quite like a bit of a risk, but an educated risk. And I really believe in myself, and I believe in my wife. You know, we're a team. We're very close. It's not something I thought I'd do, is run a business. I never thought we'd be in this position, but all I know is that I believe in what I set my mind out to do. I will always go out and do it to the best of my ability. And I know 100% of the time my wife has got my back. If I'm making a decision, she will know I'm making that decision for a reason, and she will support me behind that. And there were times where it was difficult. I'm not going to lie. There were times where I'd be like, "Are we sure we're doing the right thing here?" But I mean, we would talk about it. We'd think about it as well. And we've also both got like a strong Christian faith as well. So we pray about it together and just see, look, is this the right decision? And if it was, we'd go with it. And we found that it's worked really well, and we get on great. Does that answer your question?
Let's just switch it now.
Yeah, perfect.
We'll switch it now to the actual products themselves. So you've moved into an area that you had passion for, but you hadn't really been in there before. But then you've got all these other companies. It's more about pricing, what I'm trying to get to. How did you work out your pricing, or did you do the old mistake of they're charging that amount, let's just copy them?
So we obviously had to take the margins into account, but for us, the product quality is everything. The quality of the product, we could get our products cheaper, but it wouldn't be sustainable. It wouldn't be recycled yarn. It would be brand new, or the quality would be thinner. The dye might run, for example. We use a dope dyeing technology, which uses less water as well. So it's all these things that you can shortcut, and you could make the product cheaper to allow you to have a cheaper price point. But by the time you allow for your shipping, cost of goods, marketing costs, you have to charge a fairly substantial price. And we wanted to be priced as a premium price point in the market, because we offer a premium product. So of course we went out and looked at our competitors and what they're doing with their pricing. And there's other brands out there that we know you can go and get cheaper gym wear from. We're well aware of that. But is it going to last? Is it sustainable? Is the quality, is it top-notch quality? I mean, I don't know if you guys have looked at our Google reviews or the reviews on our site, but our quality is what we pride ourselves on. So
yeah, you can actually see, I mean, you mentioned it earlier on actually with how you started to grow, when you mentioned people would order just one product because it is a new brand. People might not know who you are yet and what you're all about. You buy that one product, you experience the quality of it, and the next thing you're buying 2, 3, 4 products. When there's a new launch, more people are actually starting to think, actually, I want more of this. So it would appear that this quality that you're offering is a big part of your actual strategy to grow your brand anyway.
100%, because the big issue I see, and I hear other brands, I've listened to many other podcasts where like returns is one of the biggest issues. And I spoke to a couple of people and they said, well, the returns get returned because the quality is lacking. And well, when you get a return, you've usually got to pay for the return shipping to you. You've got to pay for someone to repack it, or we've got to repack it. Then we got to put it back in the warehouse again. So it's time, money, and you got to steam it. It might be rejected because it's dirty, and you got to send it back, and it's another postage cost back to the customer. So we want to keep returns to a minimum. So I'm very proud to say our returns rate is 5%, which is incredibly low. So putting the quality of the product at the forefront is, for me, a great strategy, and it's worked really well for us.
It was really interesting to hear about your marketing plan. Although you had never said you had a marketing plan, it's clear to see you have one. So you said January or December, the official batch came in, and then you say March, you had another launch, in June, you had another launch, in July, you had another launch. Did you plan these marketing launches, or did you see after each one, oh, that's done really well, let's plan another launch here and another launch here? Or did you kind of already have a plan in place already?
So we obviously launched the first 4 colors, leggings and shorts in December, and at first it wasn't going particularly well, and then it picked up. But China shuts down for a month as well, So you've got a month of absolutely nothing. And the seamless products we make, they take 50 to 60 days to manufacture. So if we were to order in mid-Feb, we're not going to get it till mid-April at the earliest. But then obviously there's backlogs of work and stuff like that. And so mid-Feb, we still weren't doing particularly great. It was still quite slow, and we weren't really willing to front a load more money into new products where we weren't sure if it was even going to work out at all. We'd already invested like a significant amount of money. So we weren't sure. So we actually waited until, I think it was mid to late March, to commission the additional colors. That's when it really started picking up. You know, it started ramping up. So right, straight away, let's get some more colors, reinvest it back into the brand. So we did, and they arrived end of May, and we launched it was always the plan to add more colors and have this as like a staple evergreen product. So we named the collection the Evolve collection for two reasons. One of which is because it was going to continue evolving, because at the start we didn't have the money to fill it with all the products that we wanted. We wanted to have, like, I don't know, a bandeau bra. We wanted to have more oversized. We wanted to have more color vests. We wanted to have more color leggings, but we didn't have the money. So we called it the Evolve collection because we're going to continuously restock it, and it's going to continue evolving. So at the moment, that collection is still in the evolving stage, as in we're adding more products to it. We've got more coming in the next 6 weeks. Little secret there for you guys. We've got more coming, but we're planning to do a product launch every single month. And we're trying to time it so beat them to the mark, which is sometimes difficult when they've got marketing budgets which will be 10 times the size of ours, but we're doing our very best. But we've always got a strategy about how we're going to bring the products out, how we're going to launch them, how we're going to market them, what angle we're going to go for. And I personally feel that our Evolve by me and Erica, and some of the website ones are by us, but we've got a great photographer called Antonio. I can never say his surname, so I'm not going to say it. But he's Croatian. He's a fantastic, great friend of ours, who shoots the catalogue. And we've recently got a brand videographer called George, who, again, I cannot pronounce his surname. but so our content level has just really like leveled up, like up here. It's completely different to where it was back in December. Antonio, the photographer, he's been with us since we were Defined days. I've known him for 10 years. He's a very good friend. But George is very much does all the studio videography, the gym, the lifestyle, and all the editing as well. So it's definitely allowing us to reach a new range of customers because the content just has that wow factor to it.
So if we look at the content, you said in January or December you had 6,000 followers, was that right, on Instagram? Today, just checking now, you've got 15,000 followers, so you've gained by 9,000. How crucial is ensuring that the brand, the message that you've been talking about, and the quality of the content is key to, one, growing the channel, but also, like you said, you've got your brand ambassadors doing the UGC stuff. How important is that as well, to make sure the content they give you also matches the brand, the style, to grow the channel?
So the ambassadors we've got, we've built a very close rapport with them. So they will often either just tag us in some content, and we want to build a close-knit community. So we will go ahead, we'll repost, as long as they're wearing full Powerlete and the quality of the lighting is good, the messaging is good, we will repost that. We will help them grow their profile. They can invite us as a collaborator, and it will show on both of our profiles. Or we've got a WeTransfer link, and we constantly get sent stuff from it, and we'll send it. We'll have a look at it. It might be raw content that we can then go ahead and edit and make something from it, or it can be fully edited. But overall, we want to make everyone feel involved. You can be fat, thin. You can be male, black, white, Asian. It doesn't matter. Everyone is welcome in the Powerlete community. You know, so we want to involve as many people as possible. And around our brand launches for our campaign shoots, we do have a bit more of an embargo on that, in that we reduce the amount of UGC that we're posting, because we've got our own narrative that we're pushing, and we're promoting specific products. But other than that, we always will repost and support others within our Powerlete family.
So you've got your photographer who's been with you since start. Now you've got the videographer as well. And you've done marketing and branding yourself before. For somebody maybe who isn't as advanced or don't have these connections, do they need to be producing such high quality images and design and branding that you've got? Or can they get away with maybe using their iPhone and just putting a few filters on it and trying to get away with that?
I definitely think you can, but there's always room for improvement. So I would be lying. I mean, I'd love to whack up a photo of one of the first shots we did, but I tell you what, one of the first shots we did with the Find was, I remember it was the 27th of March in 2021. And we went up to Shoreditch in London, and we met this guy. I don't know if you've seen the guy with the afro on our website, Nico. He's one of our athletes, and we met him for the first time. We came across him on Instagram, and we said, look, would you like to shoot with us? And we had another girl at the time that we met through Instagram as well, who happened to live 10 minutes from us. So we literally went up with a suitcase with just, all we had was some hoodies. That's all we had. And we shot some content, and it was, I mean, at the time, we thought they were the best shots in the world, up against graffiti walls, very urban. And we didn't really have a clear brand idea. But my point is, we started, it's very easy to make excuses for not starting something, and just I'm not good enough, I can't do that, or it's not going to be good enough, no one's going to like it. Well, you don't know till you try it, and you don't get better till you try it. So my advice to anyone who would be starting out, I would say, just go for it, and just give your best and give your all to whatever you're trying to do, and I'm sure you'll see success.
Hey, just going to pause it there really quickly. If you know any guests that would love to feature, or if you yourself would like to feature on one of these episodes, do let us know by reaching out or letting us know in the comments. Anyway, let's get back into the episode.
Cool. I like that. There's one thing I want to quickly touch on, because I'm aware we've been here for a while. I don't want to take up too much of your time today. I want to talk a bit about that fulfillment side of it that you talked about earlier on, how you had yourself, your wife, and your best friend, you're doing all the fulfillment yourself, and at some point, as the business started to grow, you decided to make that leap and go, actually, I'm going to have a fulfillment center, I'm going to get other people to do that, start expanding the team on that side of it. At what point did you decide that was a good decision to do? Because I'm sure that many people who are listening to this now, maybe in a situation in their own business, no matter what it is, where they are thinking about making that shift and that move. What was that like, and what were those key decisions or points?
We're at the Big Yellow self-storage, and we had 2 of the biggest size units that they had in the building, and we had them separated, one for female, one for male, and I'd say the male one was at about 40% capacity, and the female one was at like 150. It was full. But the thing is, when you get an order come through that's male and got a male and a female product, you then have to walk 200 meters that way to get the final item. So it was quite time consuming. And it's also quite expensive as well, using the Big Yellow. And then that's not even accounting for your time that you're having to do it and the potential mistakes you can make. And then you'd have to literally pick it, pack it, bring it home, then use your internet connection to print your labels for your courier and stick it on. So it was taking like 2 to 3 hours a day, where we could be spending that time better elsewhere. So we ship quite a lot internationally. We ship a lot to the US and throughout Europe as well, and Canada. And we're using a company called OCS Worldwide. And I just so happened to be on the phone with my account manager, and I was saying, yeah, Colin, we're fulfilling a lot of stuff. And he goes, you know what, we got a fulfillment center in Coventry. I was like, what? Really? I didn't know. How did I not know this? He's like, you should come up and have a little visit. I was like, okay, why didn't he said, well, we can come and see you. So they came to see us. I think, quite frankly, they just wanted to see if we were serious, because I mean, I know a lot of people, they try to start up a clothing brand or some kind of business, but it doesn't sadly always make it. So I think they wanted to come and check out like what we're about. Are we serious? And then they walked into the warehouse and like, okay, you're serious. But they shipped quite a lot to the US for us, so they knew we were a serious contender anyway. They wouldn't drive an hour and a half to see us otherwise. So they came to see us. We had a little chat, threw some sort of numbers out in the air, and I said, look, when you're back from holiday, because I went to Turkey, that's another story behind that I can tell you in a minute. When we came back, we went up to Coventry and looked at this fulfillment center, and it was nothing special. It doesn't look too fancy, but I'll tell you what, the processes and the technologies they got in place, fantastic. And prior to me taking the trip up there, I had a phone call with the CEO of a £100 million company, who's also fulfilling from there. And I asked him his thoughts on, does he have any issues? What's it like, the experience? And he was just like, it's fantastic. He's like, I had 5 warehouses in London, they were all brimming at the seams, and I moved everything up there within the space of 3 weeks, and they just deliver on it. So I was like, okay, right, that's given me a lot of confidence. If you've got a business of that size moving their whole operation in the space of 3 weeks, I was like, let's go for it. Let's do it. So we sorted out the commercials, and we just went for it. We moved it all up there. We had a fully articulated lorry turn up, tractor and trailer, and they loaded the thing up front to back, top to bottom, with all of our stuff, and they took it up there. And I'll tell you what, it was a bit of a bittersweet moment when it did go, because obviously we spent 2 years.
The big yellow.
Yeah, the big yellow, you know. I think the guys actually miss us there now, because we're in there obviously every day. But we started it. We got a picture where we started in a 50-foot unit, and it's so funny. It came up on our Instagram memories or Facebook memories the other day, and it was like, yeah, the warehouse is full, and it's like literally it's like a shed with a few shelves of t-shirts on. it was quite a funny thing to see. And then we obviously scaled it to the level that it was at, and we could fill a full lorry of stock. I think it was about 24 pallets of stock that we put on this lorry, so it's quite significant. But yeah, it's completely changed. I mean, we've been filling out there now for about a week and a half, like not a long time at all. Like, it's very, very new, and it's fantastic. We're very, very happy with everything. And from going forward now, everything just gets shipped straight there from our manufacturers. It gets booked in, and it streamlines the whole process again, because the booking in process was, for us, we didn't really have a booking in process. It would arrive, we would trust the figures that we've been given by a manufacturer, it gets put in a pick bin, and that'll be it. So we would never really have a completely accurate stock count, because again, we would go and do a photo shoot, we'd just take something out and use it, and then I'll bring it home, to be honest, and put it in my drawer usually. But it gets all muddled up. So with this way, we've actually got a set process of, we know exactly how much stock we've got and where it is at any given time. Yeah, it's been great. And I don't think it's the way forward for a startup business. I think you need to understand the processes that go on behind shipping out the orders, and the real nitty gritty of what it actually means. But I think as you scale, and when you probably get to sort of 50 orders a week, 60, 70 or something like that, I'd probably always recommend to investigate fulfillment centers.
Nice. We've got one more question then before we finish, because again, we don't want to take too much of your time. But 2 interesting things what we're saying in there. Communication, like you spoke to that guy and he said, oh, I've got this place, a fulfillment place. Like, I don't think we talk to enough people sometimes. And like I said, this fulfillment place, the automated, it's smooth, the system is perfect. So it's going to save you a load of time. So like, that's just going to make so much of everything easier. But my last question is, you've obviously gone into this not knowing it. Did you get a mentor or coach at any point, or is this all Google, tried and tested, seeing what works, reading podcasts, like listen to podcasts, and just made it all up as you go? Or have you actually worked with somebody?
No, I've not worked with anyone. I'm just a very outgoing character. I could go on holiday on my own. I'll come back with a load of people that I met, or I can be in a room with 50 people and I'd come out with 50 friends. You know, I will talk to anyone and a dog. So I think that's really got me to the position where I'm at now, because you meet a lot of people that have had those experiences. So I've got quite a few friends that have super successful businesses. I mean, we're talking in the hundreds of millions, you know, and when you have a conversation with them, that they've had this a similar experience, or they've got some sort of insight or recommendation of what to do, it definitely helps. I definitely haven't had a mentor, but I have spoken to lots of, like, some of my closest friends and other people from all walks of life, and that, I think that's the best thing I can recommend as well to anyone, is just to be as outgoing as possible. Again, I don't know if you've seen a lot of the models on the website, but they're all actually our friends. They didn't start our friends, but they all are now, you know, and we see them outside of Powerlete, outside of work, you know, but it's and that way you build a sense of community, and you learn a lot more by just talking and being open. Obviously you have to be careful with the advice that you take in on board, and sometimes you have to go and back it up. If someone says, right, go and do this, go and spend £10,000 a day on a PMAX campaign from day one, of course you need to go and check, is that serious? Obviously not, but my point is just to try and sort of verify it with a second source if you've been given something that's some sort of information, you know, just to verify that it's not going to do you harm. Because I mean, there are people out there that they don't want you to succeed. So you've got to be careful who you take advice from, but I would always advocate being as open as possible with people.
I do like that. I think, to me, business has always been about relationships. No matter what stage of the business you're at, you need to have good relationships with people, and that's obviously a two-way thing, and not all relationships are always good, but you have to be out there and open up to go and have these and start these relationships with people, I think, if you do want to be successful. I mean, thanks. We have been on here for like an hour now. I really appreciate you giving us that much time into this episode. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and thanks so much for joining us and sharing your story, your experience with us and all our listeners on here. Before we round this up though, do you want to just quickly recap like what your business is, where they can go to find out more about it, and yeah, what's coming up? Because you mentioned a couple of things there that are happening, next Wednesday, I think it was. For our listeners to hear about that.
So yeah, we are Powerlete. We are a fitness clothing brand that specialises in high quality gym clothes that is also sustainable. We highly recommend going and checking out. If you're a female, leggings and shorts, they're our signature product for women, and as well as the bras, they're all made from a custom developed material. And for the guys, we've got our oversized, we've got our vests, we've got our normal regular t-shirts for every day, as well as our tracksuits. So do be sure to go and head on over to powerleteclo.com to check that out, and you can use the code FIRST10 for 10% off your first order. And do tag us on Instagram at Powerlete, of course. But coming this Wednesday on the 9th of August, we've got the Athlete Club launching, which is oversized t-shirts for men and women. And we've also got another launch coming in September. So do be sure to subscribe to our newsletter to be the first one to know, and possibly early access as well.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Well, what I'll do is I'll get all that and I'll drop it into the show notes as well. So anyone listening to this wants all the information, it'll all be in the show notes for you all. Cheers, Neil. Thanks so much for coming on. Absolutely. Really appreciate that, Matt, for coming on. So if you are watching this, you have enjoyed the episode, you want to come and get involved, it is the Fitpro Social. So you want to come and join us, have a chat, talk about your experience, your business in the fitness industry, please reach out to us, get in touch, and we'll bring you on. And yeah, make sure you give us a like, a follow, and a subscribe wherever you are watching this. And that's it from us this week. And we'll see you all in the next episode.
Cheers, Matt. We'll speak to you soon.
Cool. See you guys.
Bye-bye. You're right.